Hello and welcome to the annual video series for the International Symposium on Human Identification. Today we're speaking with Ronaldo de Carneiro de Silva. I think I got that wrong, Ronaldo. Maybe you want to correct me to make sure I'm saying it just right.
That's not a problem, Laura. Ronaldo Carneiro da Silva Jr. Yes, like we say in Portuguese. And thank you for your invitation for this interview.
You're welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Ronaldo, and nowadays I am the custodian of the National DNA Database in Brazil.
Wonderful. I always like to get a little bit of backstory. How did you come to this position?
Yes, well, I was a DNA analyst in the Federal Police since 2014. In fact, I am a federal police since 2009 and 2014. I started to work in the DNA database. In DNA database, not in the DNA lab. In that laboratory, I was an analyst and a quality manager. After I was the head of the laboratories from 2016 and 2018 between these years. And afterward, I was invited to be part of the team of the National DNA Database. I become to be the head, the main custodian this year. So I was starting in this position.
Okay, we're excited to hear about that today. What is the state of forensics in Brazil today?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Um, in Brazil, we have an integrated network of DNA database. This network was established in 2013, and it aimed to of sharing and comparing genetic profiles that is analyzed by each laboratory from our huge country. Yeah, so we have 21 laboratories uh, integrated to this network, and we have another 7 labs that are working to be integrated to this network as well. And in our country, we work also with steering committee. So this uh, this DNA databases, this integrated network, uh, is coordinated by a steering committee, and this steering committee is made up of 5 representatives from Ministry of Justice, representative of Ministry of Women, Family and Human Rights in Brazil, and representatives from the states, federal district, and federal police. So it's that's a huge team, and very specialized in these issues about DNA database in our country. And so we work this way. We have a team to coordinate this kind of work in our country. And currently, we have more or less 85,000 profiles, unique profiles in the national DNA database.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges associated with managing a database like that?
Yes, we have a lot of challenges. And I think that the biggest one is to maintain the harmonic functioning of the network. The custodian, I believe that the custodian of the national DNA database, um, they, he has to know how to dialogue with different forensic, judicial, prison institutions, and all projects depends on that. Yes, such as the collecting conviction project, the searching for missing persons project. We need articulation and dialogue with different institutions and agencies. So I think that's a very important point. In addition, it is expected that the custodian must remain at the forefront of the technical knowledge in forensic genetics for several reasons. For example, for being a reference for other experts in Brazil. Besides that, the need to communicate with technical personnel in different spheres and institutions. And I think that mainly for being the person responsible for conducting the work of elaborating the technical procedures that will be implemented in our country. So in summary, I think that interpersonal skills and technical knowledge are essential to do this work.
Wow, that's yeah, it's quite a lot. It can't be easy to keep up on all the forensic genetics. It's changing so quickly. Are there a few projects you want to talk a little bit more about that you're working on or that are coming up?
Yes, we have some projects underway right now here in Brazil. I think that the first one I would like to talk about is the project to collect convict samples in Brazilian prisons. This project started in 2018 and has managed already to collect more than 65,000 convicts. It is already in the second phase and tends to be a permanent project in Brazil, since Brazilian legislation has made mandatory the collection of convict offenders for violent crimes. I think that another project very important to us is the project about sexual crimes, the Sexual Crimes Backlog Processing Project. And this was proposed by the steering committee between 2018 2019, and it aims at processing more than 150,000 biological samples that we have in our laboratories waiting to be analyzed. So it's a big challenge for us, and I hope that we reach this objective. And we are also working on a working group about missing person, about the genetic use for the searching of missing person. This working group has carried out studies about the Brazilian forensic genetic laboratories and to diagnose the genetic identification of missing person in our country. And it was found that there are more than 18,000 samples of unidentified remains waiting to be analyzed also in our labs. So that's another big challenge for us to analyze these kind of samples, and we intend to continue in this work and to analyze everything. And I think the last but not least, yes, we are developing a new system that will support the work of the forensic genetic laboratories in Brazil, and it's called SynDNA, DNA Integrated System.
Okay, that's wonderful. Do you want to talk a little bit more about SynDNA and what that is and what that's going to do?
Yes, well, I'm very excited about that because we are doing great efforts for the development of the SynDNA. Yes, in fact, the system has the proposal of being a complete solution for the development of forensic genetics and DNA database in our country. Um, it will be possible to obtain consolidated information and reports on collections of biological samples and analysis and forensic genetics in a practical way. CDNA will have automatic integration with another system that's called IntelliGel. In fact, IntelliGel is another tool developed by the forensic scientists of Federal Police in Brazil. Uh, and so it is proposed to be an innovative solution for the Brazilian DNA laboratories, assisting from criminal experts to public security managers. We intend with the system that all the metadata of the samples analyzed in the laboratories can be stored in this system, in CDNA, such as the place where they were collected, the steps of analysis, and the results obtained. So this will allow a faster response when a match occurs in the national DNA database. That's our idea.
Wow, those are so remarkable projects that you're working on. You know, you being in Latin America, what is the cooperation like between countries? How do you work together? What are some upcoming things you're doing or challenges?
Yes, I think that technical cooperation between Latin American countries is something very important. Although each country has its peculiarities and differences, we also have many things in common that go beyond the language. We had similar difficulties such as budget, such as infrastructure issues, right crime, right incident of transnational crimes. So, in this context, collaboration between countries is extremely important. Some groups assist in this approach and collaboration. I can cite, for example, JETA, the Ibero-American Working Group on DNA Analysis, and GAP, ESFG, that is the Spanish and Portuguese language group at ESFG, and JCLIDE, Latin American Scientific Group on Human Identification Work. So I think that these groups create forums for discussions on important topics to their Latin American region. And in addition, countries also have forms of collaboration, whether through cooperation agreements or other tools. In Brazil, for example, we use Interpol's international DNA database to exchange genetic profiles with other countries, and this has already enabled us to solve transnational crimes, including crimes involving neighboring countries. So this is an amazing tool for us, and I think that some countries in our region are already using that.
Wow, you've made so many advances. What are some of the most promising advances you think you've seen in Brazil or Latin America?
Well, there is a great effort in our region for the implementation of quality management systems in the forensic area, and several Latin American labs are undergoing accreditation processes. Such development bring benefits to the entire justice chain. Uh, so improving the quality of scientific evidence and give greater confidence to use it. And I also hope to see an advance in the laws of Latin American countries, which will allow for wider use of forensic sciences. And I and other forensic scientists in our region are doing a study on the legislation of DNA databases in Latin America. And it is interesting to know that we are in a time of expansion, uh, although the laws are still quite restrictive. So we are in an interesting moment for Latin America. So in summary, Latin America has a vast field for the forensic sciences, and I really believe that we will observe a lot of development in the region in the next years.
Wow, we so appreciate you sharing all of this amazing information. I know you did so at Ishi as well. We just finished up our 31st conference last year, but our first virtual, all virtual ever, given the pandemic. How did you find that experience? Did you?
Wow, it was amazing. I had amazing feedbacks from the speakers, from the audience. I think that it's a different way to learn and to share experiences. And in this pandemic, in this time that we are living, I think that it was a great event. The quality of this, the talks that we could see last week was really awesome. So I congratulate Promega and Ishchin uh, for do that. Yes, that was a really wonderful event. And I hope that next year we have the opportunity to meet each other and in person. Yes, alive. So, uh,
Absolutely, yes. I very much
yes.
hope to see you in Orlando next year. That would be wonderful. But thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. I love hearing more about what's going on in Brazil and Latin America. Is there anything we missed? Anything else you want to share?
No, I thank you so much. I thank you for this opportunity and for this interview. This was an amazing experience. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.